What's up, YouTube? I'm sorry it's been a while, but I'm relaxing at home, you see, in the kitchen during spring break, and I decided to write a little something. So I hope you like it. Check it out, comment, and let me know what you think, okay? And it's entitled, And If I Knew You'd Call. And if I knew you'd answer my call, I'd call once at the 11th hour because that's when it would mean the most to me. I called upon you on a similar occasion. I allowed you to simultaneously produce rhythms against my heart, which then produced beat after beat after beat. And to the sound of the melody that seeped through my ears strangely sounded familiar. And if I knew you'd answer, I would call right now just so my poetic being will be okay, would slip from your lips and I'd say, baby, don't be afraid. We're only human, obligated to make some mistakes, and if I could slow down the intensity of the miles you lapped around my membrane, don't you know that I would, but would've, could've, but can't. You see, if I knew you'd answer my call tonight, I would've asked if your bed was as lonely as me. You see, plenty of nights I've wanted water to run down from these cheeks to release the pain condemned inside since the last tear dried. You see, I wanted to call you tonight. And it took everything in me to not dial 10 digits, to not think about all the feelings you're lacking and missing, to check box I unsubscribe to your hit list, to wonder is it meant to be because I keep dreaming the same dream. Prince Charming, can't you see that I'm your queen to be? And if I knew you'd answer my call, I would have called once at the 11th hour because that's when it would mean the most to me. I called upon you on a similar occasion. I allowed you to simultaneously produce rhythms against my heart, which then produced beat after beat after beat, until the sound of the melody that seeped through my ears strangely sounded familiar. And I picked up my phone today to call you, and I couldn't capture the rapture of emotions I began to endure. The anger, the pain, the feeling of us felt so surreal that I hung up, and as I dropped my head down, I realized all along I've been waiting for you to call. And if you would have called me the day after I thought you would, I wouldn't have answered. I never would have kissed you. I never would have had you. And phone calls like these never would have happened because texting simply would have captured my affection. And with every sun ray, and even when the clouds turn irate and revolve gray, I still hope for the day my poetic being will be okay, will slip from your lips and I say, baby, don't be afraid. We're only human, obligated to make some mistakes, and I still long for that phone call. I hope for that phone call. I wish you would call any day, someday, one day.